Welcome to the PI Podcast, Political Insights for the Palaging Inis. I'm your host, Matt, and with me is my co-host, political scientist, meme lord, and part squirrel, Borge.
I actually miss my squirrels.
You have squirrels. How are they? Do they write you back?
Dumadami na sila, sabi ng airpods ko. So, madami na. Dati isa lang yung pinapakain namin. Ngayon, 5 na yata. Or what. Anyway, PI nating lahat. Board here at your service.
Yes, and this is episode 15, and it's a bit of a special episode. Why is that, Borge?
Oh, this is our Anong Hanap Mo special. So, again, we remind our listeners that we have launched the Anong Hanap Mo challenge. So, check out our Facebook page if you want to find the instructions, but this will be a part of it.
And be sure to make any form, like a video, audio message, story, even like a simple post if you're camera shy, or any way you can join it just to get the conversation going. And today we'd like to have a conversation. Again, we started this campaign in a way to get ordinary netizens and Filipinos to have a conversation on what do we want? Anong hanap mo para sa bayan? And in a way, we want to expand that conversation to fellow podcasters. And today we actually have a fellow podcaster who's quite prominent in our own community, actually, in the Podcast PH group. And so without further ado, let's not keep him waiting. So we're very excited to have him on today. So he is not only a podcaster, a radio DJ, a voice talent, and he's the host of the Fourth Project. And so, without further ado, let's welcome our guest, Sir Bob Quilapio.
All right.
Hello.
Hey, hi guys. Hi.
Welcome,
Matt and Borge. Hi. Hello to the both of you, and it's nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
And thank you
for being here. Yeah. So, tell us to start with, like, where are you currently right now, and what are you doing right now in life? Sir Bob.
Nothing interesting, really, with all the pandemic that's been happening around us globally. But we're actually doing a business at home, so we turned the bedroom into a studio / bedroom / office. So we transitioned from the offline to online. Well, I guess everybody did. So I host a podcast, the Fourth Project podcast. I'm somehow still connected with TNC, the new channel. I host 2 seasons of a show over at TNC, and I left radio 2 years ago. So now I'm broadcasting from the bedroom. So so I'm currently right here in Dubai, UAE, which is the desert, the sand bar or sand pit, whatever you want to call it. But life's good. I cannot complain. So yeah,
that's great. In fact, it's unfortunate that we only do this audio, but you have a great setup, the great lights, a great mic, and clearly a great voice. The career in DJing really shows, actually. But I'm wondering, like, what brought you to UAE of all places? Can we ask why you're there?
I was here 2008 because of a cousin that I met from the call center BPO industry, and we learned after 2 weeks of training that we're cousins. And then they did not finish the training up until the time that they would go to the floor. And then one day I got a call that, hey bro, I need you here in Dubai, UAE. I'm going to be your supervisor. I'm going to be interviewing you. I'm going to be your boss. So I need you here in 2 weeks. So without any orientation, without anything, I'm like, 2 weeks, Dubai. So a bit of a culture shock back in 2008, because I don't know what place is Dubai, the Middle East, the UAE. But it was good. I stayed for a couple of years, I guess, 2008, 2009, 2010. And then there's a massive financial crisis, I think, that happened during that time. I went back home. And that's the time that I worked, project-based with ABS, Channel 5, and Channel 7 as a dubber. So I'm just one of the many, many dubbers in different groups to actually work with this, big TV networks. That's why, if you notice, the voices from 5, 7, and 2
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to Korean novela, Mexican novela, cartoons, anime, they're kind of the same.
Mm.
So we're the same group that's
Oh,
doing the
wow.
dubbing for those TV networks. And then, so I was in the Philippines back then, and then 2013 I got a call from this radio DJ job, and then
Mhm.
2013 up until now, I'm still here. So yeah.
Mhm. Can we recognize your work anywhere? Like, where can we find it? Maybe like
Oh
on which
yeah, yeah,
commercials?
yeah.
Yeah.
From what I heard, from one of my friends who I don't know before pandemic who did watch Ayala Cinemas, it was actually the safety guidelines.
Oh,
So
wow.
before the movie starts, you will hear my voice saying, there's a lot of lines, of course. The
Uh
last
huh.
part would be, now sit back, relax, and enjoy the movie.
Oh,
Ayala
that's
Mall
you.
Cinemas.
Beyond movies. I
Beyond
remember that.
movie. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. I secretly, well, I remember that, and I even do my own take or repeat it afterwards. It's been so many times. So yeah, I feel all of a sudden familiar and close with you. I always go there, actually, Ayala Malls. So, but that's interesting. All right. So, and now you're from using your voice for Ayala Cinemas, you moved into podcasting. So,
Mhm.
why the sudden shift in career? Like why podcasting?
After a year of leaving radio, the radio itch that they say that, once a broadcaster, you are a broadcaster.
Mhm.
So after a year, we decided to buy some equipments, and
Uh-huh.
because I noticed live streaming on Facebook. I'm like, okay, maybe I can do that.
Mhm.
Maybe just for fun, just because I really want to get back the feeling of you have your headset, you have your microphone, you're broadcasting,
Mhm.
and you're sitting, and that feeling. I want to bring back that feeling. And then after a year, we started the Fourth Project podcast, the 19th of April, 2020. So we celebrated our first year last April, and then from it was just like a fun, but now it somehow getting a direction to, like, yeah, the lots, like the tagline, it talks about money, business, and life,
Mhm.
because I started being an entrepreneur back in 2014, 5 years going 6 years now. So I want to give the information to those people that needs it
Mhm.
nowadays, especially the crisis, the pandemic, mental health, life, people who got kicked off from their jobs, people who got like half the salary on their current employer.
Mm.
So yeah, that's the main reason why we started the podcast.
So why is it called the fourth project, if I may ask? Like,
This is the question that I'm
okay.
not pretty sure if I okay. Okay, my name is Luciano Quilapio the Fourth.
Oh, okay. So that's why. So it's you,
Yeah,
the you podcast. Okay.
yeah, that's
I
why.
thought there was like a first or a second or third project. Okay, that's interesting. So,
So yeah,
so
it's me.
what? Interesting. So what is like? So who's your typical audience member? And you can just tell us more about that. Like who listens to your show? You mentioned like people who had problems in work, yeah. Or what? So and what's your
Well,
mission for them? Yeah.
yeah. The way I understand things is I'm not gonna get the big chunk of the viewers, the listeners, or maybe the people who's gonna be watching on the replay or maybe download eventually. Because people in the business world or the entrepreneurship uh, area is 3% only of the population. So I'm guessing the people who really want to have change in life, like people from 9 to 5
Mm.
want to be transitioning to being a boss, I mean, their own boss, and people who
Uh
wanted
huh.
to go into enterprise, people who wanted to put up startup business, maybe small business.
Mm-hmm.
So people who want to get more in life. That's why the
Mm-hmm.
hashtag of the podcast is hashtag do more.
Mm-hmm.
And people who are employed but then they have a side hustle,
Mm-hmm.
and I get that, I understand that. That's why the viewership, and then people who watch and listen to the podcast is, even after a year, it's not that big of an audience, and I understand that part.
Mm-hmm. I actually noticed that from like your materials, like hashtag do more. It's almost like when I hear hear that phrase, it's very like, it's like commanding. It's like your father saying, do more. It's like, why that particular phrase? Say, do more. Like, oh, okay. So yeah, it's almost like a very threatening challenge sometimes, but it's empowering sometimes. So why that phrase in particular?
Well, I got that from Casey Neistat of the guy from
Ah,
YouTube,
okay.
but it resonated to me like exactly in what we do in our business because I used to think I used to have a limiting belief back in 2013, 2014. I know that the only way to get money or income stream is, doing a job like a 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, because I have 2 day offs, I can still do more after this. And that's what happened to me from the last 5, 6 years of me being an entrepreneur, that now I can talk to a lot of different people, not
Mm.
even, I mean, even, different nationalities based because we're based in Dubai. So I'm
Mhm.
not talking and helping just Filipinos. I'm also helping other nationalities in this part of the world if
Mhm.
they want to do a side hustle, if they want to make another income
Ah,
stream.
right.
And yeah, you're right. The goal is to empower people, give them information and, maybe proper awareness and a good right amount of energy, especially
Right.
this season, where everyone is
Mhm.
depressed and having anxiety.
Right.
Yeah.
And it is very empowering. It's a great message, but and it's helpful in business and life, in personal life. But this is where we shift to politics. And Borge, you have a question for Sir
Yeah,
Bob.
do more can be easily applied in politics. But again, we go to the meat of our discussion. Uh, how will you describe Philippine politics? It's a basic question. So, how would you characterize it? Ano bang mga
If
katangian ng politika sa Pilipinas?
w- yeah, when
By
we
your
talk
experience.
about
Yeah.
politics, it's never going to be black and white. There's always
Mm.
the gray area. There's
Mm.
Mhm.
always the unsaid. There's always like, from the other side going to the other side and another message from, back and forth, tossing back and
Mm.
forth from what we all know now that, if you're not yellow,
Mm.
you're, DDS or whatever. It's chaotic. It's they we don't have orders on the people that are actually in the power.
Mm.
That's how I see for the last, I don't know, 20 years
Mhm.
that I've been watching the news. So yeah, it's sad. It's very depressing sometimes. That's it's
Mm.
disappointing that these people supposed to be trying to fix the country, but
Mm.
instead their job is to um detract. I mean, they are going to be detractors of their own, I don't know, senators,
Mm.
governors or mayors or whatever. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's kind of depressing on that side.
Yeah. Kind of feels like when you're an NBA fan and you support one team and the other one's like someone's Lakers, someone's Golden State Warriors. So it's like, and if you
Right.
don't support the same team, you're like enemies. Yeah.
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 And
Do you have
But
like
yeah,
uh,
a personal experience in politics? Any like do you have like did you vote or what? Do you have?
there was
Yeah.
one time when I was in Quezon province,
Mhm.
a friend invited me to be a watcher
Oh.
because they're paying,
oh,
I don't know, 200, 300 a day. So you're just there. But so that was that's the only experience that I have in
mm.
politics. So I'm like, okay, dude, what am I gonna do here? You just be here 8 o'clock in the morning, and then we'll go home by maybe 4 or 5 p.m. You have your breakfast and lunch here, and then we'll pay you after that. I'm like, okay, good, all right. So I'm just gonna stand here. Yeah. So that's what I did. So I
Mhm.
observed, but man, those whole day, because you see militaries, you'll see police officers, you'll see armored, vans and trucks. I'm like, okay, this it might not be safe for me here, but yeah, it was an experience, different experience for me. But that's the closest thing that I have
Mm.
experienced with politics in the Philippines. And then I went home with I think $200 or 300 pesos. So
Mm.
Mm.
it's a it's all good.
Yeah. Okay. You got something out of it.
And I'm just curious. So, do you think that the politics in the Philippines is too far from your everyday life? Is it far or is it very close to your life?
You mean literally or figuratively? Or both?
Figuratively, I think.
Okay.
Well, because I don't really follow what's been happening. Like I said on our
Mm.
previous meetings,
Mm.
that even if you don't watch the TV, the news, especially, the news has a way of getting into you and reaching into you. So
Hmm.
you will hear that, okay, Senator ganito is blah blah blah, and then the governor ganito is blah blah blah. Or did you know that the vice president is? I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, so us here, Filipino expats living in Dubai, in the UAE, that is what we get
Mhm.
from our daily on a daily basis right here in Dubai. So we don't really. I mean, I can only speak for me that we don't really pay attention that much.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
Mm.
No, I think one of our episodes really said that there are times to take a break from politics. Really, you just cannot be overexposed with politics.
Mhm.
Yeah, just like everything else, take
Yeah,
a break.
yeah, yeah. You need to take a break.
I'm curious with the expat community. Like, do you guys have any like? You might not be overly attached or invested, but do you have like at times where your co-expats are overly invested and it causes fights, or
Yeah,
yeah,
especially with
yeah,
the recent election for the president. A
right,
lot of families have been relationships are broken, mga magjowa
yeah.
naghiwalay because
Oh
of
my god.
yeah. I mean, even here they have jerseys, they have T-shirts, they have support DDS or support Duterte. The wristband you will see everywhere
Mm.
here in Dubai. Um, so yeah, there are groups of Filipinos who are really into what's been happening back home,
Mhm.
and I think that's a good thing because meron silang pakialam and they
Mhm.
want to be informed and involved somehow.
Mhm.
But the sad part is not to the point that hindi na kayo mag-uusap, magtsuhin, magpinsan because of the other person's take on what should be and who
Mm.
should be in. So it actually strikes a balance.
Mm.
So there's good, there's bad, pros and cons of them really into the president or maybe anti-president. So there.
Mhm.
But I'm just
Mhm.
curious. Do you think it is worth it to sacrifice personal relationships over politics? Diba, that's yung sabi mo, may mga nagjowang naghiwalay dahil yung sa DDS yung sa LP. Do you think it's worth it? Do you think it's worth it to sacrifice personal
No,
relationships?
it's like at the end of the day, this vice president, this president, this people, they don't know you.
Mm.
Okay. Um, so I don't think that breaking up with someone just because of his or her political stand is
Mm.
not same as yours. I mean conversation just like what we're doing, discussion is
Mm.
is is a one way of understanding both parties, but to the point of magkaaway na kayo, and especially family members.
Mm.
So for me, it's not worth it. At the end of the day, it's still your tito, it's still your pinsan.
Yeah.
Duterte family, they don't know you, or Robredo or
Mhm.
whatever, they don't know you. So
Mhm. Yeah. Again, I'm curious. Like, mainly your podcast or your focus is on again business and your personal hustle and personal motivation.
yep.
I'm wondering, like, how much of like that world, political world, like bleeds into like what you do. I mean, whatever. Do you feel in a sense that that world kind of bleeds into that money, business, and life? So, or do you feel completely unaffected, or what do you think?
Well, money, business, in life is what I talk and what I
Right.
do. Like you said, hustle and grind. That's what we're trying to do in our team and our business.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's not everything.
Mm.
Like I
Okay.
said, money might be the first goal on your
Mhm.
first year as an entrepreneur, maybe second year, third year. But as you mature and as you grow old in the business, you will see that money is just a tool. Money is not the goal. The goal is
Mm.
freedom, and eventually, if you're blessed, you can be a blessing to other people too. So it's way bigger than me.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I see what we do right here in the business. And
Mhm.
I mean, if you can see Bill Gates, they have projects in Africa or India or whichever part of the world.
Wow.
And our mentors in the business, they are from I think Ondoy. from Ondoy up until today, we have the outreach program almost every month to actually help out not just the people in our business but the people outside of our business. We have the Taal, tragedy, the Isabela, and the daily at least ayuda for Metro Manila area and different provinces. So yeah, this is the world that I'm living in. But of course, I know that outside of my world, there's maybe a bigger areas and world that I don't know of. So yeah.
How do you still keep in touch with like the homeland or here and with affairs? Like how are you still in touch with that? If
Too
ever.
bad because I think I have a lot of relatives that we are not in speaking term. they're
my.
all they're all in the Philippines, but
Uh-huh.
I'm an only son.
Mhm.
My mom is a single parent. She's now in Melbourne, Australia.
Mhm.
So there's no reason to go back home. There's no reason to get in touch with, I don't know, anyone. Maybe friends, maybe cousins. But like the immediate I only have my mom.
Right.
And so yeah, she's in Melbourne. I'm in Dubai. So it's crazy. So I don't talk to anyone in the Philippines aside from the business partners.
Mhm. It never went back since 2008?
One, two, three, I think four times from 2013
Oh,
or
wow.
three times.
Mhm.
Then that's it.
Mm. And and how often do you think you ever get homesick? And how often do you think about the Philippines and like what's going on?
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the thing that I miss is the environment. The street with fishbowl, the street with banana queue, the street with taho
Oh,
every morning,
wonderful. Mm.
the basketball court in the corner.
Mhm.
So, but I gotta be really. The reality is our means now is right here in Dubai, UAE. We'd love to go home maybe one day, and do a bigger business and maybe give jobs also to fellow countrymen, and invest in the country.
Mm.
And yeah, so but for now, yes, we miss the Philippines once in a while. And
Mhm.
for us OFWs or Filipino expats, we don't want to go to Metro Manila area. What we
Oh,
want to go, I mean, what we want to do is to
yeah.
go to Palawan. You
Uh-huh.
go to Boracay. You go to some province with the white sand beach.
Mhm.
So, because I used to be in Ortigas. I used to live in Ortigas. I used to, work as a call center agent in Juan San Miguel Avenue for a good, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years maybe. And then we know that, Metro Manila traffic, yung
Mhm.
init and everything. So I'm like, okay, I'm 42, I'm 40 years old. I need sea, sand. I need I
Mm.
need trees.
Yeah.
Iba na pag tumatanda eh.
Understandable. Kaya rin nag-invest in airpods sa isang apartment sa Tagaytay. So ayaw talaga nila dito sa Maynila.
There you go. Yeah, what a nice
Mhm.
place. Tagaytay. Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Anything else, Borch?
Yeah, I think we can go to our last question on ano bang hanap ni Sir Bob sa politika.
Mm.
So
Or para sa bayan, yeah.
I think what I got from Sir Bob's comments on politics is that there's a need to transcend political dichotomies. It's not really worth it to sacrifice something deeper for political affairs. But again, I also feel Sir Bob's attachment with politics. So I think last question would be, ano bang hanap mo, Sir Bob, para sa Pilipinas?
Okay. Like I said, maybe people in power to be to enforce whatever is on the law. Somebody who can enforce the law, not just the president. Everybody else. From the councilor, from the barangay tanod or barangay chairman, and same thing. I would love to see people who wanted to improve on themselves and focusing on. I would love them to have the initiative, for us also to have the initiative to get the information right, get
Right.
especially get the information right from the credible source. whatever that is, if it's life, if it's business, if it's entrepreneurship, if it's politics, especially if it's politics, because you're actually a year from now, like you said, people are going to be voting again for another head of the state, and hopefully it'll be better. It'll hopefully. I mean, well, in fairness to the current administration, I think he's one of the many guys. Like I said, for the past 20 years, he's trying to fix things in the country. It may not be perfect. The guy is not perfect. There's a lot of flaws, and like I said earlier, I'm not agreed to like 100% in everything that he does. But we were shouting before that we want change, and now he's trying to make a change, and now for some reason I'm not pretty sure, but the change that you guys been, I mean, that the people that change are the people that's been asking for a change. I don't think they understand what they really want when in terms of change. So individually, as Filipinos, we hopefully we can inform ourselves, and let's try to be more responsible. Like I said again, it's not what the country can do for you, but somehow in our own little ways, what we can do for the country in the near future and the next coming years. And the thing is, social media nowadays, it's a make or break. Now let me just continue the short story that I've seen from Facebook, that there is a guy being checked by the highway patrol, HPG, whatever, or police officers, and it's a red sports car Corvette. And then on the comment is, "Sir, bago mo kasi iyabang, make sure na kompleto yung papel." And the guy is walking from the police officer's table going back to the car. So hindi siya nagpa-picture, na-picturean siya. And then there's another comment below that guy's comment that it says, "Sir, niyabangan ka ba or nayabangan ka lang?" I'm like, may punto, no? Parang, oo nga, na-picturean siya, hindi siya nagpa-picture. It's not even a selfie dun sa sports car niya or sa luxury car niya, na-picturean lang siya. So I think that has to change the way we think of other people, especially on social media. That you don't know what this guy been through to get that lifestyle, to get that car that maybe he deserves. Baka dati wala din lang yung taong yan. Baka dati mahirap lang din yan. But because of, I don't know, maybe the hustle, the grind, the business, whatever. Right. Now he's able to buy. Maybe that's a validation of his hard work for the past 10 years. We don't know. So never really quick to judge a person on social media and in offline and online. So I think that mentality of us Pinoys now, we're guilty somehow. I'm guilty of that sometimes up until now. We need to change that. Let's just think that, is this gonna help me? Is this gonna help me grow? Is this gonna make me more mature? Or I'm not pretty sure if you're familiar with Rendon Labador, na take down yung Facebook page because of a very sharp comment on one of the people who commented on one of his videos, I guess. So medyo sharp nga naman. But I think he did his apology to the family of that girl. So you just cannot please everyone, sabi nga niya.
Okay. Interesting.
But the page is now back online. So
wait, this Labrador, his name? Yeah. He's
Rendon.
The guy Rendon. Yeah, he's the guy who he's a weight trainer, but also says a lot of like self-help
right. CEO of Fitness Army Gym. Yes.
Yeah. And I don't know. What do you think about him? Does he deserve to be like taken down like that? Because he says interesting stuff. He's got the body to show for it.
He's on the right track. It's just choosing the right words for the audience. I think yung sinabi niya na bobo ka, nakita ko profile mo sa Facebook, baguhin mo style mo. Kaya ako nandito kasi matalino ako.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, sabi ko, patay. So medyo alam mo yan, medyo siya. Estudyante pa lang po kasi ako, and the girl's name is Angela. Babae. So the girl, sumugod yung netizen. Ayan, yun ang nangyari doon.
Oh my.
So, but yeah, now he's back online, and I think he's gonna be very careful this time
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
in putting out content, video, whatever message out there. So,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I am not pretty sure which American president said this, that it's not what the country can do for you, but it's what you can do for the country.
I
It's
think
US,
JFK.
maybe.
Yeah.
And before, I did not understand this. Before, I am on the part where the government should do this, the government should be responsible for this. Now I'm seeing a whole lot of different, aspects of the life. Right, presidency is just one guy, voting is just maybe one day, and it will, like you said on the clip, it will never be done by just voting. It will never be enough. So I wanted to see, maybe in the, I don't know if it's the near future, Filipino who can take full responsibilities of their lives. I saw a Facebook post that there are people with prosthetic leg, which are, on a motorcycle for the food delivery. People who doesn't have hands and they're selling. People who what do you call that? People with determination, but they are grinding, they're hustling. And then on the other picture, guys, like Filipino men with everything, like hands and arms and complete, without disability, and they have a placard says, ipaglaban ang 10,000 kay ayuda.
Mm.
I'm like, what? When? In what world did that happen, that the government should give you a 10,000 as ayuda? Kailan nangyari yan? Saan nangyari yan? So I think it's not just the politics, but it is us, the Filipinos. What do we really want? We always say that the president should do this, should do that, should do this. I mean, do I agree with the whole thing that's been happening with our current president? Of course not. Do I somehow like some of his work? Yes. Now the common ground here is I'm pro Filipino, I'm pro Philippines, I'm pro country. Common ground. So agreed. So what I really wanted to see is, people who can change the mindset that the government is doing their own thing for the country. Us Filipinos, we need to do something for ourselves. So that way we will not have the mentality or the mindset that the government should need to give this or provide me this. I think that's entitlement. And I don't know. It's just sad that, because, okay, if you have the means, if you have the grant, if you have the hustle, if you have maybe a small business that's been running, pandemic or not pandemic, you don't need ayuda. Instead, what you maybe will do is to have, I don't know if it's okay nowadays, what that community pantry.
Pantry.
Yeah.
Yes.
So instead of you asking people to give you something, you're the one who's gonna provide them. You're the one who's gonna be a blessing to other people. So I guess hopefully if it's not the near future, hopefully it'll happen. And that way the people who are in power would have a little lighter job than what it is right now. So yeah, hopefully. I
Yeah.
mean, we need to ask ourselves, what do we really want? Because every time there's a new president, there's hope, and that's good. But after a few years, we want something else. So yeah, that's good question. What do we really want? And congratulations, by the way, for this episode, for creating this conversation. And
Yeah.
nowadays, you said that this is a year exactly before the
In
election.
2022, yeah.
And we need to, just like you and me, it's our social responsibility somehow, podcasters, to give out the right amount of energy, the right amount of information that people needs if they really want to vote for someone who can, spearhead the country in the future. So this is a good venue for people who can, maybe discuss and talk and maybe connect. And we can disagree, but I mean, just like just like what I say in my, thank you, bro. Just like what I said in my podcast, that you guys are welcome on the comment section down below, even though your take on my topic for discussion is the exact opposite of mine. And that's the good thing about podcasting. That's a good thing about social media nowadays. We can just talk. I mean, I'm not gonna hate you. Hopefully, you're not gonna hate me. But we can discuss. We can talk. So I'm looking for more of that in the future, not just Filipinos, but the people in the in power. And let me just add this that I think President Duterte said that whoever sits in the power at merong naiwang project, and if it's good for people, and I am the one who's going to be the next president, itutuloy ko eh. Bakit? Kasi makikinabang taong bayan. So I like that. But sadly, it's not happening for the last 20 years. Bagong presidente, bagong project. So who's going to be suffering? Pinas.
Yep, you're absolutely correct with that one. So we actually have a tendency to reverse previous presidents' projects. But thank you very much for your answer to that very fundamental and deceivingly simple question. Simple question.
Yeah, there's a lot you can say, and that is a lot. In fact, it echoes something we've been saying in this program a lot, and that is everyone should do their part. Magambag tayo lahat. Yes, and it's a very fair-minded. I mean, most people are just anti or pro Duterte, but very, like he's admitted, he's done some good things and some not so good. So that's it's very refreshing to hear that actually. So thank you for joining us in this conversation. That's actually we've given us a lot to think about. But before we go, we have this thing called recommendations. Where we give we share what we are reading or watching that may or may not may be related to this topic today, or just to share a piece of yourselves. Sir Bob, do you have anything to recommend for our listeners?
Yeah. Nowadays there are hundreds or thousands of podcasters, and they have really good content online, on social media, on different platforms. And congratulations to each and every one of these people who's going out of their way to actually give you information. All right. Now,
I mean, so would you? Is there any, I don't know, other podcast or book that has that message you can recommend to the listeners? Like what you're
good. Yeah. You're a good question, Matt. The good thing nowadays is my learning style is not on reading. So my search engine is not Google, but instead YouTube. I want to hear it, I want to see it, I want to watch it, just like a movie. For people who like, for people who's like me, everything is one click away online. Now it's just that check your what's that history on your Google Chrome, whatever, Safari. If it's 90% entertainment, you need to reevaluate what you're watching.
Patay ka mat.
Because if it's 90% maybe TikTok, funny videos, entertainment, you just want to, you're online for 3 hours just to be entertained, instead of you wanting to learn more about certain skills, wanting to maybe learn about marketing or selling skills, or start a business. So everything's online nowadays. Like I said, I'm a big fan. I graduated from YTU, YouTube University. So now there's a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk is one, very, very aggressive. Love the guy, love the energy. Grant Cardone is another motivational entrepreneur, and Robert Kiyosaki, the OG. Robert Kiyosaki, Les Brown. There's a lot. Once you click the names of those guys, the suggestions is maybe hundreds and thousands of 3-minute video, 5-minute video, just before you start your day, depending on what you need. If you need selling, if you need marketing, if you need online, whatever. So it's there. So we suggest that help self and educate more and do more.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
great.
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 Borge, do you have anything to recommend
Well,
for the
since
listeners?
Sir Bob already advised on looking at YouTube channels, you know what? Something I've been keeping in my own pocket. Well, for our listeners who are amateur historians, I would recommend the two YouTube channels that they
Mm.
can go to. These YouTube channels, they provide very many, highly what you call digestible, easily digestible documentaries,
Mhm.
animated ones. That's why I'm amused by it. So you can check
Uh-huh.
out the Epic History TV as a
Mhm.
YouTube channel again, and Kings and Generals, which
Right.
Kings and
Mm.
Generals was both of them were originally focused on military history, but for the past few years they've diversified, tackling
Mm.
culture, the rise of specific civilization. So they have diversified
Mm.
uh, their offering. So yeah, so
Right.
better for fans who like history.
Right.
I would recommend those two channels.
Right. And since we're all, I think my recommendation is also from YouTube. It's funny. Like you start with YouTube. It's like we're all doing YouTube. Well, it's funny. It's
Same
difficult
school,
because
same school.
same school. Yeah. Classmates. Yeah. The thing is, one of my favorite political channels is Louder with Crowder, and I think he's gotten very. He's actually very controversial, like Brendan. Actually, for saying something that is, pissing a lot of people off. But one thing that I do appreciate, like, is this series he calls "Change My Mind," where there's a specific topic like, for instance, Biden hates the middle class or something. Change my mind, and then people come and try to change his mind, and that is they begin a conversation. They'd say certain arguments that would come from, I don't know, impressions, stereotypes, and he would bring out facts. So and for me, while I'm entertained that he in a way takes down students that want to change his mind, in a way there's also a kind of educational value in these kinds of conversations where people of very different political inclinations or even like life or life worlds, interact, and they try to have a conversation. And for me, I learn a lot from these kinds of conversations. So in a way, hopefully we, in some sense, my mind is changed on certain things, in this conversation. So that's the value that I have. It's while those conversations are also entertaining, it also shows you like the importance of listening and the combination of both facts and logic. So that's one thing. We'll post the link to all these channels. The Change My Mind, the of course the ones recommended by Sir Bob and Borge. So yeah, and that is all for episode 15. Thank you, Sir Bob. Before we let you go, since we're a political podcast and you're a non-political podcast, I was one podcast to another. What do you think political podcasts like us should do to increase our audience? Like, do you have any advice for us, actually, for someone trying to um, expand the conversation on politics?
Well, this is a very, very sensitive topic. But then again, like you said, Matt and Borge, that there are people who are really into this kind of topics, and I think you have a big chunk of market nowadays on the podcasting world, and uh, okay, to market what you have, what you can offer, what the podcast is all about, the content. I mean, you guys are everywhere. You're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere. I
Right.
mean, but yeah, you can. I'm not pretty sure if you guys do a live streaming on Facebook
Ah,
where they can
Mm.
actually interact and maybe ask questions. Maybe you can have a guest from, I don't know which party, and then you have a specific like, okay, the subject or topic for discussion, so
Right.
they
yeah,
can they can
yeah,
dive in. Maybe
Mm.
I'm not sure.
yeah.
I'm no
Fair.
expert. I'm no
Yeah,
expert.
fair.
But yeah,
Uh-huh.
by the way, my podcast is, you will never going to see my content elsewhere. I'm
Okay.
only on you. I'm only on Facebook Live. So I haven't been
Uh-huh.
really getting the time to actually put it in a I mean, in an audio format and
Mm-hmm.
distribute that into just like what you guys are doing.
Mm.
Okay.
So there's nowhere else where
Okay.
you can actually listen and watch me, but on the Fourth Project Facebook page. That's it.
All right.
Okay.
And we'll definitely put the link to that. So our listeners can find you in case they want more of what you have to say. So thank you very much, Sir Bob. You can catch him at the Fourth Project live on Facebook every when? What time?
Yeah, every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 4 p.m. Dubai time, and that's 8 p.m. Philippine time.
Where you can learn a lot about money, business, and life. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So thank you for joining us in the PI
Mm.
podcast. Please follow us on Spotify, Anchor, YouTube. Where else are we? Anywhere where you can get your podcasts, and send us an email at pipodcastph@gmail.com. But until the next episode.
Magandang gabi, mga ka-PI.